Welcome back to Fort Mort Battalion. Anybody new out there, don't forget, you are welcome here as well. We're going to talk about counters, discount counters right now. We're going to start out with Darth Bane. He is the ultimate discount counter. And I know you got to get him out of Conquest, but I'm telling you, he beats everybody. Everybody. He beats all the GLs. It's crazy how good this guy is. Just be careful who you bring in with him, because you want to bring in an R9 if possible with him, because he will eat up those guys to make him more powerful. Also, Ray's Whirlwind will one-shot Bane, so you want to bring in Set. So anyway, there's plenty of videos out there, but this video is going to go along with the next video as well. So we're going to do discount counters today. And the next one, I'm going to tell you who you should be using on defense and who you should be using on offense. And we'll go over a little bit of that in this video. All right, so starting out, looking at Grievous. Grievous right now is good on defense, because if you have the Separatist target lock cron, I'm getting a ton of holds from that thing. And that includes in TW. The other part of this video is I'm going to have GAC counters, TW counters. If it's specific only to one, I'll mention that. Plus, there's a logo on that screen, which you'll see later on, where it'll say GAC or TW only. All right, so Grievous. Grievous can take out in TW and in GAC. He can take out a star killer team. You need to make sure you're paying attention to your mods, but if you have a really well modded one, and I've got videos on Grievous on my channel, it still stands to this day. Also, Grievous can beat Leia, but the stipulation is you need a new guy stab. 100% you have to have stab. As you can see right here, the Star Killer team, anytime you see around 70%, hopefully you guys can see that. I got as blown up as I can. Around 70%, usually that's user error, why they're not doing as well as they should be. Now the Grievous one here versus Leia, stat makes it almost easy mode with 91%. Going on to the next one, more GG. Another reason why he shouldn't be on defense normally, but you have a cron right now. When I say cron, data cron. All right, with Grievous, he's taken out easily. I've used this long term for younger accounts. When you've got first order out there, I don't care what first order leadership it is, except for Slacker. Don't want him in the lineup. He'll take out GG. But if it's just a normal first order team, he will wreck it. Absolutely wreck it. Even with Kylo Ren in there, you just got to use his basic a lot to get the healing immunity landed. All right. And this also wipes out in GAC only. I don't think it does it in TW. I haven't tried it because of the Omicrons on the Inquisitors. But GG wipes out GI. I do not recommend it with Reva in any manner. Excuse me. You'll see here there's some more first order. This is TW only. The reason I say it's TW only, you see that yellow or that orange mark up here? Excuse me, you see that orange mark up here? That is because in TW you've got the Phasma Omicron, which makes that team a lot better. Do not waste GG on a Phasma in GAC, only in TW. It's a good counter. All right, GG going verse, and believe this or not, in the past, I have beaten I have beaten JML with GG multiple times. I've done it on stream. I do not recommend this counter. It's a 9.1% win rate with Shock T in there. And then it's got Jolie, Hermit Yoda, all the other ones. It can go hit or miss with JKR in there, because it depends on who he targets. If he targets GG, you're smoked. All right, but again, I'm just showing you guys that these counters are out there if you're desperate. Bad Bats. Here's another one should never go on defense. Why anybody would put this on? This is a team that requires you to play it correctly. But one good counter for them in GAC only, Qui-Gon Jinn, because Qui-Gon and GAC has an Ami. Do not waste this on Qui-Gon in a TW, please. The Bad Batch do good work on Grievous and different teams. There are multiple different team setups here, and I actually learned something in my research, because I use this team all the time. Bad Batch with, God, what is his name? The Yellow Trooper. I use him all the time, and I always lose him. But there is an actual higher win percentage rate, according to Swgoh.gg, just using the 4-man on Qui-Gon Jinn. It can get dirty, but you need to know what you're doing. There's a little bit of finesse with this counter, but the 4-man has got a 97% win rate after 58 battles. Omega makes it nearly 100%. I do not have Omega myself. I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't. I've got 4 Relic because of the fleet. Wampa! Everybody knows Wamps. Thank you, ReeKeePea. We've got a lot of different counters here. Here's a great one going against Santa Staros, or however you say her name, Staros. You can counter her, but be careful. pay attention to who's in the lineup. You've got a 90 plus win rate, which means that even dum-dums are winning this with Wampa, as long as there's a decent Wampa with the Omicron on Wampa. Once you throw Stormtrooper Han in there, it starts to lower down to 70%. Now you start throwing Cara Dune and especially Hondo. Hondo is 0% in 50 tries. 0%. Do not utilize that. Be careful with Nest as well. Wampa can beat Nest, but with the combination of multiple Hondo, Cara, Stormtrooper Han, and Nest, you're not going to get through that with Wampa, so be careful with that. Another great one, 96%. Pretty much a no-brainer. Check the potency on Iden. If Iden is through the roof on potency, saying, let's say 120 plus in potency, you probably don't want to try that counter. Outside of that, Wampa will clean up Iden. Iden shouldn't even be on defense anymore for this simple reason. All right, so that will go into the next video as well. And then last but not least, there is Grievous. So as long as there is no Stap, do not try this with Stap in the lineup. I have been doing this for well over a year. Wampa wrecks Grievous, whether it's got Droideka, it doesn't matter who's in there except for Stap. So be careful with that. The other one, if you'll notice on the bottom here, is 74% with Newt in that lineup. And that's because, remember what I said a little while ago about 70% people don't know what they're doing? Do not cleanse Newt's ability extortion. Just keep fighting through it. If you cleanse it, you're dead. Plain and simple. Wampa again. Look at this. Wampa, Wampa, Wampa. Still doing good work. This is in GAC only. Do not try this in TW. Two things you want to happen. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup except for Crew. If Crew's in there, his stun is cannot be resisted. I would not try it with Crew in there. Outside of that, your first order, even with the Ami on TIE Fighter pilot, you should be fine. Also, Newt is another Separatist team that Wampa will absolutely wreck. As you'll notice right here, I got an X over Jango. You're not a guaranteed loss, but Jango does make it harder, and there are combinations of Newt with Jango in the lineup that will wreck Wampa. So if you see Jango, I highly suggest you just avoid it and use her somewhere else. One surprising one that you guys may not be aware, and I don't recommend trying it unless you know what you're doing, watch a video on it, and mod harder on Wampa. You can kill C as long as you don't have Talon, Savage, or Set in that lineup. Set can be beat, but if you have a combination of any of those 2 or 3, I wouldn't even try it. I probably wouldn't try it anyway, but getting into this video, we're getting further about GLs here in a minute. That is a viable desperation counter. I have done it. All right, Night Sisters, one of my favorite ones. Another one that should not be on defense, in my opinion. They are too easy to take out, but you do so much good work in GAC and TW. One of my favorite ones is Grievous, and my other one is, as you can see at the bottom here, is the Geos. So Geo. They're going to take them down, wear them down. It is a battle that can time out in TW versus the Geos, but you should get rid of some of the Geos. I don't highly recommend it unless your Night Sisters are equal or higher level than the Geos is with the Ami Poggle in TW. As for GG, it can get a little bit dirty in both, but if you know what you're doing with your Night Sisters, go watch one of my videos on how to use the Night Sisters. You will get through it pretty easily. Bad Batch, you'll see her on here versus Grievous too. I put that with combination because we're still talking about Grievous. Bad Batch with Shock T. Shock T cleanses the target locks. You can't lose in either TW or GAC. Looking at Radis. Radis is another one that we're going to be talking about in the next video. Do not put him on defense. Don't do it. Don't do it. He's got so many good teams he can counter. One of them being GI lead. He will wreck it. The other one being Tuskens. Everybody knows whenever you open up Tuskens, there's so many streamers that get so irritated by him. Radis is your answer for Tuskens. It takes a bit, but they are the answer. Be careful in 3v3 though. And then there's a Radis versus Malgus Talon. I have not watched this video, but this was posted in my Discord from a guy named, well, not by him, but a guy named Dominus. I've never heard of him myself, but the link's right there, so you guys can check that out if you want to see. I have not done this one myself. Just shouting out another YouTuber. All right, GL counters. This is what we want to get into, the down and dirty. Seer, Crew, Malicos can beat Rey. Right now, you probably don't want to mess with it because of the current datacron for Rey and Holdo. But when it goes away, that counter will come back. Bo is a big one. She's beating GLs. She's beating LV handily. My boy Wulfffff has showed this off on his stream on Twitch, the Wulfffff 5Fs. He just showed me this one. And then apparently, I haven't seen this, but Bo is a high win rate, 238 seen, 97% win rate versus Slacker. 2 GLs this woman's beaten. Afra, used to with her Kron dominate Jabba, can still beat it though. You got to know what you're doing. I have not done the battle because I don't have Afra, but I've seen it done. And then we've got the mighty Gungans. Apparently, I've got 14 seen, 86% win rate versus Slacker. And then we've got JKR with JKL. There are multiple combinations you could do to beat Slacker. This is a long term. This one's been around almost as long as Slacker's been out. This is one of the reasons why Slacker should never be on defense. Look at how many counters. 3 right here just on this list. And there's more. All right. They can undersize him, or plus the other GLs that could beat him, etc. And the other thing you got to keep in mind right now, there's a monstrous Datacron out for Slacker. So do not try these counters right now while that Cron's out. Night Sisters can beat Jabba. There's a 62.5% win rate for those that know what they're doing. You start talking about those that have tried it, self-included. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Watch videos, mod harder. I haven't modded my Night Sisters 4 Jabba yet, but it is doable. I've seen it done. All right, so I'm going to start including some stuff. You guys will see up here from my guy Star Set in our guild. Reva eats JML's face even on auto. End of story. There's a ton of truth to that. TW and GAC. You got to figure in TW, they got even more Omicrons than Inquisitors. You guys will see some of those notes. It'll get a little bit messy, but you guys get the point. DTMG apparently is beating Jabba. And I think he beats possibly JMK, but I couldn't find record of that. Then we're looking at Saw Gerrera. This one's new to me. There are 4 times it's been seen where he's beating LV. I don't know. Haven't seen it, but I found that on Swgoh.gg, just FYI. We are in a new era where you now can beat GLs without GLs, and that is fantastic. Here's Reva smoking JMK, 69 to 94% win rate, depending on what you use and if you know what you're doing. Obviously, the 94%, the majority of the 816 scene is 83% win. I mean, I haven't lost it, so maybe just people just don't know what they're doing. And then Star Killer, keep in mind, Ray's got a Kron right now. It can still beat the Ray Kron, but it is a lot harder. And it really helps if you have a Star Killer that's Relic 8. He's the one that's going to do the majority of the damage, bringing the ship down, obviously, when you need him to. But this one is a regular counter that I use when the Kron is not here. I just don't even try it now because I only have an R5 Star Killer. Everybody probably by now knows about the Bounty Hunters beating LV. With Maul in there, it's a wreck. It's a mess. It's not fun. I don't even use it. I save my Fennec for if I need a cleanup on different areas, or as you'll see, killing Radis for one. And then here's one that may surprise some people. Gas can beat Ray. Not right now. In GAC and in TW. With the right team in there, you want to try to avoid double tanks, I believe, but I've done it multiple times. If there is no Ben, it's easy. It's so easy. The short answer is you got to save Rex's middle to speed everybody up when Gas is sitting down. You want to make sure that she doesn't whirlwind or ult on top of everybody while Gas is down and wipes everybody out. If you can avoid her doing that, you win. Plain and simple. All right, now, here's one that some people may or may not be aware of. It's really not that difficult. You just got to make sure not to AoE because you'll trigger Malik and Fear with the M Troopers versus DR. This is for the lower accounts, obviously. A lot of us at the higher end are not going to see this anymore, but I've used this multiple times. It's a fairly easy counter, requires Dark Trooper. And then moving to Phoenix with C-Rex, Captain Rex. This beats Reva in both GAC and TW. I have not done it with Sabine, but she's sitting at 88.2%. And the one person that is definitely required, well, there's a couple that are definitely required. Obviously, your lead with Hera, Captain Rex, and Chopper are the 3 main ones. And then I like Kanan, and I also use Zeb in mine. I haven't used Sabine yet, but apparently there's an 88.2% win rate. So I just used it this TW. It does excellent work versus Reva. It's a great counter. I feel like that's a punch up big time. All right, now Jawas. I know everybody's gonna laugh right now. I ain't got no Jawas. But at the lower accounts, if you've got any semblance of Jawas and you put some decent health gear on them with protection primaries and such, and gear them up just a little bit, just use some side ones, you can beat Mon Mothma until she gets to relics. It could be a relic Mon Mothma in gear 12 sides, and you can still beat it with Jawas. Once they go into relic, you're gonna have G12 plus Jawas. Jawas also can do dirty work versus the Geos, but with the recent pack that came out, a lot of people, including myself, finished off the Geos to get them at Relic. You're going to need Relic Jawas to beat Geos. TW only, and the reason I say TW only with the M Troopers versus Geos, it's a great counter. In TW, you're not finding many uses for the M Troopers right now. This is a good one versus the Poggle Ami. It absolutely wrecks the Geos. Make sure, obviously, if you want to be Relic, they're Relic, etc. You don't have to be super high Relic, but it does help with a high-end Dark Trooper, of course, because he can be one-shot in people. It's a 98% win rate. Do not waste this in GAC. Do not waste it in GAC. You've got better things. Malik can only in GAC. Do not try this in TW. Can solo just about. Again, don't use crew in this one, or don't go against crew. Just about any semblance or order of the First Order under Phasma. Vader can solo. I always bring a second just because there's something RNG can go wrong. Vader can, if you use his last ability first, you can actually just remember to use the last one first. You can beat the Geos fairly easily. It's got an 80% win rate, and hopefully you've got a well-geared, high relic Vader to beat the Geos. Bounty Hunters. This is what I was talking about with Fennec. You don't need Fennec to beat Radis, but it makes it a cakewalk, taking out Radis. And this is another reason why Radis should not be on defense. On defense. So it's easily taken out. You can basically take Mando, take 3 turns to kill Radis, and it's over. Literally over. Also, JKR, who isn't getting much use. He used to go with JML, but now we've got JKCK. JKR isn't getting used in many places. This is an easy counter to take out Radis. And again, you can use Aura Singh lead with the Bounty Hunters or Boss lead. All right, here's some of that mess I was talking about. Here is one that was very interesting to me. Up here in the right-hand corner, you've got Kelleran Beck. Kelleran Beck, I've used this counter multiple times versus a non-relic Kelleran, but everybody else is relic. This will beat it. If you have Shaq T in there, even more so, it's a really good counter. So if I use, instead of Cody, I can use Shaq T. It's way easier. So you can beat Kelleran with an off lower squad, and that includes with the Omicron. I do not and cannot proclaim that at a high relic Kelleran that you can do this, but you definitely, you're still seeing Kelleran without relic on him. I've got one, as you can see right there. So Night Sisters, I also had this one, Night Sisters versus Kelleran. I was able to take out everybody but Kelleran and Shaq T. The only reason I feel like I didn't win this all out was because Shaq T was in there. She continually healed and cleansed. If you do not see a Shaq T, I'm convinced that you can wreck a Kelleran Beck. Again, at high relics, I don't know, but I'm assuming it will. Here we go versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Reva. Preloaded GI. This was a battle I had with 8th already dead. Reva on the squad. My Sid Kron, my Sid solo crushed this. The only person that was missing was 8th, and they were preloaded. I feel like this could possibly beat Reva, but I'm not 100. I'm sorry, GI with Reva in the lineup, but I haven't had another opportunity to see it. So, but I mean, it absolutely smoked it. Had no problems. But again, it's got to be the Datacron. You don't need his Omicron. You need his Datacron. I do not have the Omicron. All right, another one for Phasma. Beating Phasma. This is a great counter. This is probably the best one of this video. Padme and any 4GR. I've done this multiple times. The only time I failed was when I didn't bring a tank. The only time. You can bring Bad Batch tank, which I don't know why you do that, or Mace, Kenobi. Those are the 3 I think off the top of my head. Bring some kind of tank and they will stack up. Obviously, I want it to be a Galactic Republic tank because I want her to get everybody stacked as soon as possible. The only thing that I would say is if they've got Crew or Kylo Ren in there, you're going to want Annie with Padme for the healing immunity. So I would avoid them trying this 4 or 5 Galactic Republic. But think about that. Padme is a cheap counter. Look at the junk I've got right here. Padme, Mace, Cody, Clone Sarge, and Jedi Consular. All right, I've got a video on my channel, also a Fulcrum, for a solo versus Star Killer. Now, you want to be careful. Mine's R7, and an R8 Star Killer can be rough. But as long as she matches Star Killer or has more relic levels than him, you shouldn't have any issues if you have her Omicron. Go to my channel and check out that video. Another one for Phasma, Phoenix, Rex is an easy win, as you can see right there. And then Dash, L3 Hondo, and both the Resistance Han and Chewie with the Resistance Kron, but it's not pretty, but it worked. This comes from my guy RDCD. This is about Sidious. Sidious. I asked in the guild who is City is killing in solos right now with his Datacron. Look at this list. Geos, Night Sisters, DTMG, but right now he has a Kron, so don't try it. Star Killer, it works right now. Ewoks, Maul, Iden, Mon Mothma, Phasma, Afro, but it can get iffy. And then Malgus is also potential, but it's real high risk. This guy is crushing, and this is TW and GAC. I know it says TW at the top. I was trying to get a bigger TW list, but there aren't too many that are different from GAC to TW. And we've got Malgus solo. I had some solos up there. So if you've got a Malgus standing solo, I use this in 3s. Padme, Mace, and Clone Sarge. Malgus solo down there. You can see Sortie. What a good use of a bunch of trash droids just to take out a solo Malgus if you're stuck. Solo GL Rey. This I've used multiple times. And you can mix up which Jedi go in there. But the key one's going to be JKR. I like Yoda in there if possible, but Ki-Adi-Mundi works with the armor shred. Some more solo cleanups. Bam! I had a cleanup versus a half health solo. I've used this multiple times. I like to see an LV that's lower in health, but you can use a full BAM team. And then Phoenix cleanup versus R9 solo LV. This was in my Discord as well. Solo job. A lot of you guys know this already. This is the team I use in particular. The Mon Mothma. And then LV, again, here's my guy JKR, who doesn't get any love anymore, can take out a solo Vader. And then, of course, as I talked about before, Fennec Shan. I do not even bother trying to take LV out. There's so many variables now. If he's solo, then I'll go ahead and use Fennec with Grief. It's basically Fennec Grief. With a solo, it's easy money. Completely easy. Grief will always cleanse. Every time Vader throws up dots, he'll bring up a cleanse. So it's easy money. And then you see at the bottom, LV, Afra, and JMK can all be beat by Reva. Now, Afra isn't punching up, but JMK and LV are. All right, this wouldn't be a Mort video if I didn't tell you how to ship harder. So I'm going to go through this. These are the list of teams on my right that I have saved on my loadouts right now. Levy going against Sith Fighter up front. This is the team I use. I use the offense, but it does require a minimum. I highly suggest you can do it with a 7, but a minimum Relic 8 IG. I brought mine to R9 because I didn't have Levy or Profundity at 7-star yet, so I had to climb in Fleet with my Executor. It can be done, and it's about 90% win rate when you've got an R9 IG. Offense Executor, you guys are gonna, I don't suggest this, but to save Rebels to go with Home 1. If it's a weak Executor, not high relics, you can do these 4 guys right here and get away with it. You basically are straight out killing IG or Cad Bane, depending on what the lineup is. You can do it with 4-man. I do not suggest doing it unless it's a weak one, but it can be done. I've won it 5 out of 6 times. So it can be done with that route. Profundity Mirror. This was brought to me by my guy, the Wolf. You bring in the Empire tank. It makes the mirror super easy. Just remember, bring him in as the first reinforcement. Do not use his special ability because he will use burn when he comes out. Wait until the burn falls, then use his special ability to burn again. It's easy money. And in a mirror, you normally don't get to ult, but sometimes you do. It's rare. I've done it. Seen it twice now. Executor offense with the finalizer. You can do this. It's not an easy battle, but once you learn it, it's not too bad. This is the starting lineup and the reinforcements that you want. You want to make sure you kill IG first, right off the rip. That is the key to this battle. Even if you end up losing it, it becomes an easy cleanup. And then the Negotiator, Marauder in there, the Scythe will beat it. This same exact lineup can also beat Levy. All right, it is the go-to counter for me is the Levy, and you got to have the Scythe that's required. And then with the finalizer, you can beat the Executor with Houndstooth lead. Again, a very finessed battle. You have to play it absolutely correctly in order to win it, but it is beatable. Look for videos on YouTube for that. And then I showed a couple other up here. There's the Scythe. It's 86.2 win rate versus the Levy. And then the Marauder can take out the Executor as well on the offensive fleet if they've got the offensive lineup. So that's got a 97% win rate. So make sure, guys, that you are shipping harder. Get your relics. Your 6Es matter on your ships. This is your counter video. Be looking for the next one. Who to put on defense and who to leave on offense. All right, guys, we are 1 Battalion strong. Till next time, we out. Sorry, not quite again. And then we're looking at, I forgot his name. But Vader can, if you use his, the short of it, the short answer is